Hello, everybody. Looks like I'm wearing the same clothes as I was last week, but again, I am filming this whole tutorial in one day, or this whole class in one day. Again, because I do have a holiday for July, so these are all pre-recorded. So welcome to class 2. Again, comment down below that you were here and that you saw this video, just so I know that you were here. Today we are going to be working on the exteriors of the bag. So we're going to get the pockets all done for the front panel, the back panel, and then I'm going to show you how to do the foam interfacing, and that is probably going to be the class today. So I'll show you how to do the foam interfacing on one panel, and then you'll be taking, for homework, you'll be putting the foam interfacing on everything else. So yeah, we have a lot to get into today, so that's what we're going to be doing. We are doing this one as a birth bag, of course, so we may also make homework to do your zipper pocket on the lining side, where you would just leave it open, and trying to remember what the slip pockets are. Yeah, we'll be doing the laptop sleeve in there, and yeah, and then you'll do your slip pocket if you decide to add that in next week, just on the main lining panel. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Yeah, but besides that, it's going to be mainly the exterior today, and yeah, I'm excited to get going. The exterior is the most work out of the whole pattern, but it comes together magically, as all car threads patterns do. We have that fancy little kind of hidden zipper pocket, and zipper pockets, there are so many pockets in this bag. Yeah, we'll be learning how to do a trolley sleeve, as well as all my modifications will be happening this class as well, because we are changing that backpack strap into a convertible bag. So, but if you want to do the backpack strap and everything like that, as per the pattern, definitely follow along with the pattern. We're just doing, this is the modified version because that is what we voted in. Anyways, let's get into class 2. Okay, so we are going to start with some prep work first. We're going to prep all of our connectors. So a lot of these connectors are extra connectors that we've added in. So this is all of the hardware that I've added in. So 4 rectangle rings, 4 D rings or triangle rings, and an O-ring. I think this O-ring is a 1.5 inch O-ring. 1.25 inch would work as well. We are looking at the bottom of page 13 is where we are going to start. And we're just going to prep these 9 connectors that we cut. Again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure I got enough. And these are, some of them are extra that aren't in the pattern because this is a Brandy modification. So we've already drawn our lines down the back. You can use tape, or you can use clips, whichever you prefer. You're going to take these, and we're going to fold the long edges into that center line. For all of them. And we're going to chain top stitch these at the machine. Seems like a lot of connectors, but trust me, it is so worth it. Now our side connectors that we are adding in for the crossbody strap, we are not going to be top stitching those ones. So you can pull 2 of those out. Those will be for later on when we do the crossbody, or the crossbody connectors, but we're not top stitching those ones just yet. I just realized I have not changed out my thread. So I'm going to finish prepping these and then I'm going to change out my thread. And then for 7 of the 9, we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch down each of those folded sides. All right. Had a hard time deciding on the thread because it's a teal bag with purple accents. So I think purple thread will be really nice. So I'm going to chain stitch all of these down each side. Double check that your tension looks good. I think I can loosen just a smidgen. Okay. Let's see. I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. This is a partial bobbin. It doesn't have much in it, so I just keep checking the tension just to make sure. I find sometimes when you get closer to the end of the bobbin, the tension kind of goes weird when you're on an industrial. Okay. All right, so go ahead and cut those apart and I'll meet you guys back at the table. All right, so we can prep all of these connectors. So first I'm going to do my 2 connectors that I did not have any top stitching on. And you're going to need 2 of your D-rings or triangle rings. So these are going to be for our crossbody connectors that we are adding in. So on the wrong side, I'm going to take some double-sided tape, just kind of eyeball it about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch up or so from one of the short ends and place your tape. And I'm also going to put a small piece of tape on the top short ends, so opposite from where that is. On the right side, I just got to find my pen. Where are you? On the right side, so the side that we put that tape on, I'm going to measure down about, is that going to work? 1.5 inches or so, and draw a line. 1.5. Take the tape off of, actually, I guess you didn't really need to put the tape on that top part. That'll still work. Slide on your D-ring or triangle ring. Bring it down to that 1.5 inch mark and fold it under, wrong sides together, just like that, making sure it's nice and straight. And then take that bottom side and fold it upwards, just like so. And then you're going to just take another piece of double-sided tape, not too big. You only want it to be about halfway up. And on this side, we're going to make a line of a 3/4 of an inch. And that'll be for later, for when we go to sew this on. So for homework, you'll go ahead and you'll do the exact same thing with the opposite one. All right. Okay. Now for all of the rest of these, they are all going to be the same. So I'm going to just show you with the 2 D-rings because we're going to finish these connectors. And then for homework, you will do the rest with the O-ring and the 4 rectangular rings in the exact same fashion we are going to be doing now. So you're going to take 2 small pieces of double-sided tape. Put it on to the back short side of 2 of the connectors. You'll do this with all of them, of course. Slide on your D-ring, rectangle ring, O-ring, whatever it is you're working with. And then you're going to fold this in wrong sides together. Just like so. We're going to keep these ones out because we are going to be working with them. And for homework, you guys can go ahead and prep these other ones with the rest of the hardware, as that'll be what we will be doing next class, adding these in. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to grab your triangle connector pieces. So these pieces here. And this is taking us over to page 14. So on the wrong side of our triangle connector pieces, again, I cannot give this measurement. You'll have to look at the measurements in the pattern on that page. And you want to measure down. You want to make marks. You want to measure down from the top of both. As per the pattern measurements, I'm actually going to straighten this out because it's straight. Okay. Okay. And then we want to take some tape and we're going to fold that top edge into that line. Oops, I got stuff stuck to my tape from my last project. There we go. Fold it into that line. Okay, and then you're going to see in step 15, picture C, we're going to have to draw another line on the left-hand side of these. So go ahead and do that on the wrong sides, nice and straight. And just like so. And then we're going to take these connectors. And I always find this helpful. I'm going to draw a line about a 1/2 inch down on each of the connectors. This just helps me line it up nicely, I find, just from the hardware. 1/2 inch down. And then what we want to do is we want to line this up to the left of that line, like so. And then that line that we just did on the top there should line up with the top of this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this over top, making sure it's all even, like so, and secure with clips. We're just folding that directly in half. should look something like that. And we're going to do the same with the opposite side. Put this to the left of that line. Line that up along the top, and then fold this in half. Is that right? Yeah. And in half. I think I have to adjust this other one a little bit. I want to make sure that those folded edges all line up nicely. I'm just going to adjust this one because I think my thing shifted. So to the left, and then fold it in half. There we go. That's better. So there should be like a little bit of a gap right in this corner here between the connector and the edge. So now you want to place these mirrored to one another because we want to figure out our right sides because they are going to be mirrored. So make it so they are pointing inwards like this. And then you know this is going to be your right side and this is going to be your right side that will show on the outside. Well, this is all going to show, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch with 2 seam allowances, which you will see in steps 19 and 20. We're going to go across and down, and then with the wider seam allowance, across and down, and then on this one, across and down, and across and down. All right. Again, make sure those folded edges are nice and even. You may need a hump jumper. Where's my hump jumper? It just fell on the floor. One sec. Let me grab it because I might need it. It's under my machine. Oh my goodness, there it is. You may need a hump jumper to get over the connector. We will see. No, I'm okay. And down the opposite side. Make sure it looks good on both sides. It does. And then go in with another line of top stitching. So it's decorative as well as it's just going to secure this connector just a little bit more. So these are the connectors that will be for the backpack straps. There. And down. And do the same with the other side, but remember it is mirrored. So if your top thread always looks better, then make sure that is the part that is being for the exterior. So you'll see it more than the bobbin thread. Mine looks good on both sides. It doesn't really matter. All right. Okay, so now you want to put these down on your table, again, making sure they're mirrored to one another. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go from corner to corner. So this is the unsewn side here on the exterior. I'm going to go from corner to corner. And we are going to cut. Now you may also have to look into here. Actually, yeah. What I like to do is the corner of that connector, like you can kind of see how it comes there. I'm just going to kind of fold this back. I'm just going to trim that connector back just a smidgen. Making sure not to cut the triangle part. You're just cutting that connector just kind of up on an angle, just to help get it out of that seam allowance at a nicer angle for when we go to sew it on. So it clears it like that. Okay. Do the same with the opposite side. Again, making sure they are mirrored. And I am going to just trim at the corner of that connector up. I guess you could do this beforehand as well, but I never know which side I'm trimming up. So I just find it easier to do it this way. Don't need very much, just enough. All right, so those are our two triangle connectors. Set those aside for now. You know what? I lied. I forgot to say one thing. If you want, this is completely optional. I'm going to go ahead and just to secure this a little bit more, I'm going to put a rivet kind of right in the center here. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to end up putting one right about there. So it's kind of even with this corner, but down. And same with the other side. So you can decide if you want to put a rivet in just to help secure those connectors a little bit more. Completely up to you. So if you want to do that, that's where I'm going to be placing mine, straight through to the other side. And yeah, do that for homework if you want to do that. Okay, so next thing we are going to prep that isn't in the pattern is our purse feet. If you are going to be doing purse feet, I'm actually going to put on 6 purse feet, I think. You want to find on your bottom piece, this is the piece with your Decovil Heavy or Peltex stabilizer on it. You want to find your top, bottoms, and side centers. Just because it'll help us out later on. Okay, and we are going to, I'll give you my measurements for this. I always change it. I never know what I'm doing. So working from the sides, the long side and the short side, I'm going to do mine. How am I going to do these? 2 inches in from the left, 1.5 inches up. And that's where I'm going to put it there. 2 inches in from the short side, 1.5 inches from the long side. Centered, 1.5 inches from the long side. Is that what I want to do? Sure. Maybe different than how I did it in the tutorial. I don't remember what my measurements were, but this works. So for homework, go ahead and install purse feet if you are doing your purse feet. Again, I'm doing the large size, so if you're doing the small size and you want to put in purse feet, then just kind of eyeball it and see where you want to place them and place them wherever. Okay, so yes, so we can do that for homework. And now we're going to get everything gathered up for our back panel. Okay, too funny. Watching back that last clip, I gave myself a thumbs down somehow. I know that YouTube is funny that when you do certain shapes, sometimes I can get to do a heart. It's not going to happen. Anyways, I must have did something that gave it a thumbs down by pushing my thumbs down. I have no idea. YouTube cracks me up. Okay, so I lied. We are not doing the back panel. We are working on the front panel. So I've already gone ahead. We are on, if you're doing the large bag, page 18, step 5. I've already pulled all the materials that are listed at the top of that page for this section, which is all right here. Now, if you're doing the small version, make sure you are definitely reading along. I mean, I'm not going to be giving any measurements at all, but you will see actually the main measurements in the pattern are for the small, and then all the large measurements are in brackets. So definitely make sure you are following the correct measurements. So we're going to try to go as per the pattern, following it the best I can without going rogue. What we want to do is we want to take our front top lining. I already marked mine with an arrow, so I know that is definitely the top. And we are going to make some marks. Again, I cannot give you these measurements. You'll have to follow along. So in step 1, it tells you the measurement of marking a horizontal line down from the top. So go ahead and do that. And then it tells you to make another horizontal line. The measurement is in the same step. So go ahead and do that. Oopsies. And then vertical lines from the side, as it says as well in step, where are we? In step 2. Okay. And then you're going to make sure that that box measures what it says it should in the pattern, and mine does. Next, what we're going to do is step 3. We are going to do 2 more lines from those short sides. This is preparing for our zipper. You'll be doing almost exactly the same thing for the back panel for that zipper. So kind of follow along with that when you go. Line down the middle and make your V's out. And this is for our front top zipper. I'm also going to go ahead and mark my top center by folding this in half and doing a little snip, just like so. Okay, so now that takes us down to step 4. We want to find our front top panel. Front top panel. Mine is teal. I'm going to go ahead and find my top and bottom centers of this with snips. Okay, so I am going to use pins here, but I'm going to be pinning through where we're going to be cutting away. So if you look in step 4, it's going to tell you where we are going to be placing this downwards. So make sure you do the right one for whichever size you're doing. Ask me how I know. I accidentally did it too short on my very first one because I followed for the small one rather than the large one. So make sure you are following the right placement. Again, the large size is in brackets. What we want to do is place this front top lining panel. We're going to be putting these right sides together. You're going to measure down as per the pattern measurements. Make sure I got this right. Yeah, we're going to put this nice and centered, just like so. And I'm going to put some pins in to hold that right for me. And I'm just double checking because I do not want to mess this up because I have messed this part up before. Okay. You want to make sure it is nice and straight. Very important. Okay, I'm going to put another pin in. Right there. Okay, so I do my zipper pockets like this a little bit different because I can never get these little ends in very good. Again, I'm just going to make sure that this is nice and straight. Okay, so see where our marks on these sides were? We're not going to stitch down these sides. We're just going to back stitch here and go across to the other side here, back stitch, and same here. So from these first lines here all the way across, just on the top and the bottom of that. So let's hop on over to the machine and do that. Okay, so again, I'm not doing the whole rectangle, and this just makes it so you get really, really nice corners from when we do it. This is not my favorite way of doing a zipper pocket. This is why I always do the overlays. So sewing stitch length, I'm going to put my needle down right at the top of, right at that one short line. I'm going to back stitch and go all the way across. Should be running out of bobbin soon. Go all the way to that opposite line, back stitch well, and then do the same with the bottom line. You want to keep these as straight as you can because you're going to see this on the exterior. This is going to, if your pocket is not centered and not straight, you are going to be able to tell. Well, the little flap thing might hide it a little, I guess, but okay, to the out of the line, back stitch well. And I think I'm almost out of bobbin. I'm going to change that out now so I don't forget. No, I'm still good. I'm still good. Okay. Okay, I'll meet you guys back at the table. Okay, so you can see I just did 2 lines. You can take out your pins. Try to keep my table clear for you guys. Okay, so now what we want to do is in between these other lines, so before the V's, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that with a rotary cutter, and then we're going to go in with our scissors and we're going to cut into the V's to just before the stitching. We do not want to cut the stitching. We just want to go into the V's to the stitching. Just like that. See? Same with the other side. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to push these wrong sides together through that opening. Bring it around to the wrong side. Now, because we didn't stitch these seams here on the side, we want to make sure that we fold those down really good. And this is just making it so, you know, when you sometimes get those really weird tucks in those corners, I'm just not very good at zipper pockets this way. So this is something that I have found works for me to make those corners really nice. Okay. Okay, so this is what that looks like. See look how beautiful those corners are. I'm going to carefully take this to my iron and I'm going to give this a good press without touching my vinyl, just because I use cotton to, or you can give it a really good finger press, but I'm going to give mine a little bit of steam to press that seam out really nice. And look how perfect that's going to look. So I'm just going to run over to the iron and then we'll come right back. Okay, so this is what that looks like. It looks nice and flat. See here, I made sure my little V things on the sides were in, because we will be catching those with top stitching. But when you do that, look how perfect those little corners are. Anyways, set this aside for now. Next, we are going to take our zipper flap. What we want to do is we want to fold it in half, wrong sides together. And clip the sides. I'm just going to put a clip in just to help hold it in place like so. So we are on step, where are we? Step 8. So you'll see there in step 8, the seam allowance, we're going to sew these 2 short sides. So go ahead and sew those 2 short sides with the seam allowance that is on page 18, step 8. Just the short sides. Backstitch well. Okay. Okay, once that is done, what we want to do is just in these corners here where the folded over seam is, we just want to trim that down at an angle just like that, just to help reduce some of the bulk and get a nice sharp corner there. And then we're going to turn this right side out. Poke out those bottom corners nicely. And then we're going to take that stabilizer. So I'm using Decovil Heavy. You can use Decovil Light, but you're going to put it right down in the middle on one side of the seam. If you have to trim it up, you can go ahead and do that. I'm hoping I don't have to. No, I should be good. You want to make sure it goes right up into that fold and gets caught. And this is just going to make for a nice and stiff flap, like so. So push it right up into that fold. And I'm going to put some clips there just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Right up into that fold. And now what we're going to do is we're going to base this raw edge and top stitch these 3 edges. So I'm starting in the middle of the raw edge to base that part. And then top stitch the 3 finished edges. And this will also hold that stabilizer in place. Easy peasy. Okay, now what we want to do along that raw edge is find the center. Coco says hi. Oh, she's barking at the mailman who just walked by my window. And find that center. So that takes us over to the next page. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab our front top zipper and we want to find the centers of this. So I'm just going to, my phone is making weird sounds. Holy moly. So I have my zipper pull on already, and just within the seam allowances, I'm going to mark my center. Make sure that's definitely my center. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so this is on page 19. Step, you can also go ahead and base these sides if you want to. I'm not worried about my zipper pull coming off, so I'm good. So we want to take our zipper right side up and our zipper flap right side up, and we want to match up with that center. I'm actually just going to put a clip there just for now. Match up that center so they're both right sides up and clip it in place. Make sure your pull is closing to the left. I just love all these hidden pockets in this bag. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we are going to just baste that in place. Just the flap. Surprised I haven't run out of bobbing yet. Oops. Okay. All right, so this is what that looks like so far. Next, what we want to do, okay, so I actually run my tape on the opposite parts of it. I'm going to put, taking this panel, I'm going to put my, I'm going to put some double-sided tape here and here, just like so. If you are worried about top stitching through it, make sure you're at least 1/8 of an inch away from where we will, from the opening in the rectangle, so you won't be stitching through the tape. You can also put it on the zipper part if you wanted to, instead of this part. Okay. So that takes us, oops, I lied. What we want to do on the wrong side of this panel as well is in step 15, you'll see where it says we want to mark a horizontal line from the top and bottom edge of this opening. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. And this is going to help us with the placement of our zipper. My pen here. So that measurement is there. Make sure you're using the right one from the opening of the rectangle. So it would have been easier to do before I put the tape on, but it's all good. It didn't show up very good now, did it? I'm gonna use some chalk here. My fabric is, oh my gosh, I'm a disaster. There it is. My fabric is just too dark to show that pen, so. We'll use some chalk. Okay. So this takes us to step 16. So what we want to do is we want to take this and we're going to kind of bring this flap through the opening of this window like so. Okay, so the zipper's in there and the flap is through it like so. And on this side, I'm going to take that tape off, or the paper off that tape. And I'm going to line this flap up nice and centered at that line. So I got my center mark, and at that line, and I'm going to stick it down to the tape nice and straight. So again, I'm going to have to flip this over to bring that flap out. it should fit in that rectangle perfect, like so. Look how gorgeous that looks. It looks so good. Just want to make sure that that's nice and straight. Kind of eyeball it and make sure it looks even all the way. Just bring it down just slightly over here. Oopsies. Got a little bit too much of my fabric showing. Okay, I think we're fine. And take your time here to make sure you place it really good and that you're happy with it. Put my zipper pull out of there. I'm just going to adjust this down just a smidgen because I want it to be about the same. That looks pretty good. And then what we're going to do is, with the opposite side, I'm going to stick it down as well. So you can kind of eyeball it. Again, that zipper tape should line up with that other line there if you need that for a thing, a guide. Just like that, make sure the zipper tape's going right along that other line that we drew below. And again, if you need to adjust to make it look perfect, do it. But kind of gives you a good idea what that is going to look like. That looks good so far. Okay, so now what we want to do, make sure your zipper pulls through the window. And we want to, let me just acquaint myself. Okay. Bear with me here. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull my threads long. So you got this is what it looks like on the back. So it looks like on the front. And we're going to end up top stitching all the way across, down. We're going to flip this flap up so we can top stitch across here, back up and up. I'm actually going to start under here and I'm going to tie my threads off under here. So I'm going to start in the middle here, go all the way around, and then come back and tie off my threads underneath. All right, so let's go on over and do that. Okay, I'm definitely going to check my bobbin now. I do not want to run out of bobbin at this point. I might have enough to go around. I'm going to play chicken with my bobbin. All right, so again, I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to pull my flap up. I'm pulling my threads long so I can tie them off in the back. If you don't do that, make sure you backstitch well. Hold my threads while I start. Here we go. I'm going to have to move my zipper pull out of the way. Make sure your needle's down before you pivot around the corner. Up the sides, and up these sides is where it's going to catch those two unsewn seams of the rectangle that we left. Pivot around. I'm going to pull my threads back. And continue across. Needle down to pivot. Put the flap up and out of the way. And then end my last stitch in the same as my starting hole. Pull the threads along and tie them off in the back, or back stitch, whatever your preference is. There we go. And I didn't run out of bobbin. I won. Oops, pull threads long. Sure I got them all. I did, and tie them off. Burn my threads. Ooh, caught that one on fire. Okay, I'll meet you back at the table. All right. Look how gorgeous that looks. Look at that. So make sure your zipper opens and closes, and it does. So now that takes us over to page 20. What we're going to do is flip this over. And we're going to fold this edge up like so. We can actually trim up our, if your zipper tape is too long, just trim it up with the lining like so. Fold this up. And then clip it in place. So it's just the lining. Not too bad. It looks like it should be a complicated pocket, but it's really not. And it's so pretty and so decorative and so different. I just love Kaur Threads pockets, how she does them. They're amazing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're not sewing through this exterior, but we're going to start at a folded edge. So up, across, and down. And when I'm sewing, I'm also going to see these little triangles here. I'm also going to try to catch those in my stitching just to give those sides that I didn't do a seam on just a little extra stability. So again, start at a folded side. So you can go all in one continuous motion with the seam allowance in the pattern. Make sure you're not getting your exterior. Oh, and I ran out of bobbin. A long time ago. I sewed that whole top edge with no bobbin. I knew it was going to happen. That's okay. I'd rather it happen in a lining piece like that where it's not seen. Nothing worse is when you're sewing with no thread. Okay, take two. Where did I run out? I ran out almost right at the very beginning. That's hilarious. Okay. fix this there. See? Okay, meet you guys back at the table. Oh, threads galore. All right, look how messy my table's getting. So that is that top pocket done. So it's all sealed up. Should have a functioning pocket underneath that flap. Sure the pocket's going the right way, which it is. And we can put this part aside for now. So next, I've already gone ahead and prepped these just because I was doing it at my iron while I was there. So you're going to take your zipper tabs and we're going to make like a bias tape with it. So you're going to fold the short or two of the ends into the center like so. And then fold it upon itself, just like how we make straps. So I've done that already. You're going to take your front bottom zipper, and what you're going to do is you're going to sandwich this in between, and these are longer than the zipper tape, that is okay. Just like so, all the way in. You want to make sure both of the folded sides line up. Do the same with the opposite side. So this is page 20, steps 25 to 30, what we're working on here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to just top stitch right, make sure the folds are lined up, right through there, through the zipper tabs, and that'll secure them onto the tape. Now you just want to make sure that you're getting both sides of that zipper tab. You want to catch them both ways, just like when you're doing a strap. Couple sides, good, good. Right. As you can see, I've caught both sides, and you can go ahead and you can trim up those tabs to be the same width as the zipper tape. I strongly recommend using cotton for these tabs because these little sections get a little bit thick when it comes to sewing them on and getting by them. If they're too thick, they're a little hard to get by. This pocket is very similar to what we did in the Yoshi. Actually, it's exactly the same as when we did the Yoshi class. All right. So now we want to find our front bottom pocket. Is this my front bottom pocket? Yes, it is. Front bottom pocket. Just want to make sure. Front bottom. Nope, that's not it. Front bottom pocket is the exterior. Okay, so we want to find our top and bottom centers of this. So this is your front bottom pocket exterior. We also want to find the centers of our zipper tape. So I'm going to mark it on both sides of my zipper tape within the seam allowances or with chalk, something that'll disappear. Okay. Okay, now in step 31, along the top, it tells you to make a marking on the wrong side. Of course, mine is a hot mess here because I drew all sorts of lines, but go ahead and make that marking as per the pattern measurements there. Oh, sorry, I lied. On the right side. Doing it on the right side. So use a pen that will disappear. And make that line. Like so. Okay. So that's going to be for a future step. It's just easier to put it on right now. Okay, now we're going to take our zipper. We're going to make sure it is closing to the left. See how mine's closing to the left? And we are going to put it right sides together, matching up that center mark like so, and clipping in place. So these are right sides together. Usually I do this all in one step because this is a very special pocket. We're just going to go step by step as per the pattern. Okay, once you have that in place, we're going to double check that it is definitely centered. Let go of me, tape. I think I'm slightly off. Just slightly. I'm going to just scooch it a little bit. Something's not quite centered for me. You definitely want this centered. That's okay. Maybe I marked my centers just slightly off. Okay. Go right there. You definitely want it centered. That's better. Okay. So I'm just measuring in to make sure I have an equal amount on either side of the zipper tab. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we will base that in place. Okay. So I'm actually going to change into my zipper foot because I want to get a nice and even seam allowance and a straight zipper here. So I'm changing into my right zipper foot. And I'm just basting this in place for now. Just so it's not going to move on me. Just from zipper tab to zipper tab. Okay. So that's what we have there. This takes us to the next page. Step 20 or page 21, step 33. I'm going to take one of our bottom pocket linings. I'm going to find my centers. Table's getting messier and messier as we go. Okay, now what we want to do is I'm actually going to use double-sided tape to help hold mine in place now. So along the top, you can definitely use clips. Whatever you prefer. Okay. We're going to take this and we're going to put it right sides together, matching up those centers. Should be the same width all the way across. And then we are going to sew across here with the seam allowance stated in step 33. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open this up this way, like so once it's sewn. And we're just going to top stitch through the lining. And we're going to do that all at the machine. So we're going to sew through here at the seam allowance, press the lining away from the zipper so you're still seeing the wrong side of the zipper, and then just top stitch through the lining. So make sure your seam allowance here is very accurate. Make sure you read the pattern to find out what it is. Very important. And let's sew this in place. I just want to double check something. Sometimes we don't go all the way across. I just want to make sure, yeah, we're going all the way across. All the way across. All right. Oops, I forgot to do it again. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you here just because it's easier from top down. We're going to take the lining, and we're going to press it nice away from the zipper teeth, just like that, with the seam going towards the lining. And we're going to top stitch that seam in place through the lining, not the exterior, just the lining. I totally could have done that over here, but I forgot I was doing it. So let me double check. I want to see something. For some reason, I keep thinking maybe it's when we do the top stitching. Nope, this one we go all the way across. Okay, all the way across. Okay. Right, so this is what that looks like. We're going to take this and we're going to fold them the wrong sides together. Still make sure this line that we drew is showing up. We're going to take our other bottom lining panel, find our centers again. This is right side up and this is right side up. So this unsewn side of the zipper, we're going to match up that center and clip it in place. Believe it or not, we are almost done this front panel. Where did my clips go? Man, oh man. Clean up my table and then I can't find anything. And then you guessed it, we are going to go ahead and baste this in place. It should be lining up pretty good down here. Okay, so let's go baste that in place. Okay. Okay, so this has taken us to page 21, step 37 we just finished. Okay, so now we're going to take, and you want to be very careful that you are actually using the bottom. Let me just double check something. Okay. So I'm going to use double-sided tape again. You can definitely just use clips. I really want to have a nice and straight zipper, so I like to use my tape along the bottom edge of the panel. So make sure it's the bottom edge. I'm going to put some tape across the bottom. I feel like I'm missing a step. Let me double check. I don't think so. Am I missing a step? I don't think so. Oh, okay. So we're going to take this. I'm just double checking because if we screw this up, we screw it up. We're going to bring these right sides together. So the top of this bottom part and the bottom of the top part, right sides together, along that seam we just basted to that unsewn side of the zipper. Stick it all the way across. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew across there with the seam allowance stated in step 38. Again, you want to be using your zipper foot. All the way across. Okay, so this is all sewn there now. Now what we want to do is we want to flip everything away from that second bottom lining, the one that is not top stitched. So if you take this and you have it laying this way, you've got your top part, your bottom exterior, one more lining piece, and then you're going to kind of just fold them out of the way. So exposing this lining piece, you want to make sure your seam is going towards that lining piece. And we are going to top stitch through there, but only the lining. Everything else is flipped out of the way. Okay, top stitch just through the lining. All right. So you can kind of feather them out like so. Now what we want to do is that line that we drew across here. We're going to flip everything out of the way of that. And we're going to take that line and we're going to fold just this exterior front bottom pocket, wrong sides together along that line, and clip it. Do a good finger press along that line and clip it. And we're just doing that bottom exterior piece. So this is step 41 and 42. So you don't want to be grabbing that seam or anything. You're just grabbing this exterior piece. And then we are going to go to put everything out of the way, and we're only going to be top stitching through that folded seam. So you want to make sure you're not getting that zipper. You could top stitch it this way if you wanted to, but I want to make sure that, I mean, this is the front, and sometimes that bobbin just always isn't the nicest. So I'm going to do it through here. Oops. Ooh. There you go. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to take, I want to wipe that pen off of that so it doesn't stain it. There we go. All right. So this is what we got so far. So we are now on, where are we? Okay. We finished steps 41 and 42. We are now over to page 22, step 43. Okay. So now what we want to do is, you can kind of see where our linings are here. We want to match up those seams like so. So those lining seams together like so, and clip that in place. You're also going to clip this pocket. So it's bringing that pocket up. So it's not flat, it's coming up. And the way you're going to get that is by lining up those lining seams. Same with the opposite side. Line up those lining seams, clip in place, and that's going to create that hidden zipper pocket like so good. Now, before we finish clipping anything, we do want to make sure that this is, let me see. We're not going to do that just yet. I want to make sure that this measures what it says in step 46 from top to bottom. So make sure you're looking at the right one. And I am bang on. I'm so happy about that. Okay, so we're just going to hold that in place with those sides right now. We're going to lift up this bottom part, and we're just going to sew the bottoms of our lining panels together. And they should perfectly match up. If they don't, you can trim them up a little bit. But as long as your bag is the right from top to bottom, we are good to go. So we're going to lift this up and sew across there with the seam allowance in step 45. So just sewing through those lining pieces, not through the exterior. I'm actually going to switch back into my regular foot. Okay. Okay, I'll meet you back at the table. All right, so again, double check that your height is what it's supposed to be. Very important, and mine is. And now what we can do is we can clip the rest of the sides, including that pocket, now that we've closed up that pocket. And the sides of your lining pocket should be caught in there, so that's going to close up those pockets. This looks so amazing. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to just baste these sides closed. So you're going to start just above where this hidden zipper pocket is, because you want to make sure you're catching that flap in there. So we're going to go start about 1/4 of an inch above that and baste down the sides. And this is where you didn't want your zipper ends to be too thick, because it sometimes would get hard to get your presser foot right beside that to do this baste. You don't want it to shift for sure. One side done. Okay, so this is pretty much that front panel done for now. We're not doing the strip and all of that just yet. That'll be next class. So there is our, I just love this pocket. Like, look at that. So that should be a completely concealed zipper pocket now, which it is, and the flap. Now what I'm going to get you to do for homework is you're going to do the back panel. I'm going to get you to do your back zipper pocket on your back panel for homework. And that is all you're going to do on your back panel besides the foam, which we'll get to the foam after that. So for homework, do your back panel. Instructions for where the placement for that zipper panel is for your back panel is page 23, step 6. Again, make sure you are measuring it down based on the size that you are making, because it does have 2 sizes and it lists both sides. So yes, for homework, do the back zipper panel and do not do any of the other, anything else. We will be doing the strap band, the strap strip and everything next class. So I am going to show you, we've got about ½ hour left. I'm going to show you how to do one of the side panels, and then I'm going to explain how we are going to attach these to foam, because that is not in the pattern. If you're doing foam like me, it makes it very structured and really great for travel, especially for your laptop and everything. So go ahead and grab your side pockets, and one set of side pockets and your side panel. Okay, side pockets. We're going to do one with you, and then we're going to get into the foam. Let me figure out where we're at. 1 second. What page are we at? I don't want to go too rogue. Okay, so we're skipping over to page 30, step 7. So we're going to take our lining and our exterior of our side pockets, which I'm doing in the same fabric. They branch out this way, so the wider is at the top and the narrow is at the bottom. You're going to take them, you're going to put them right sides together. You're going to clip across that top. And then we're going to sew across here with the seam allowance stated in step 1 of steps, or step 7, step 1. And then at the machine, we're going to put these wrong sides together, and then we're going to top stitch through the top and baste them all around. Oops, wrong camera. There we go. So again, make sure you look at the seam allowance in the pattern. And you will do this exact same thing with the opposite side when you do it. Okay, and while we're here, we're going to flip these, press that seam really good, flip these wrong sides together, clip across that top seam and the raw edges. Okay, should match up. I obviously didn't cut mine very good. I'm going to start with my top stitch across the top, and then we'll baste the 3 raw edges. That's the top stitch done, and now the baste. Cut one really wonky, holy moly. That's okay, we can trim it up. I cut one a little bit, yeah, too big. Okay, so because I cut, you can see I have a really wonky cut one here. I'm just going to make sure I trim them up so they all match up everywhere. And that's just my bad cutting. All right, now we're going to take a side panel, find your top and bottom centers, make snips. Okay, you're going to take your side pocket. We want to find the bottom center on that short side. Okay, and we're going to match up that bottom center. I'm actually going to, which one is my right side? Can't even tell. Oh, this one is. Make sure it's nice and even on the bottom here. We're going to match up that center, and you're going to see the pocket is going to be wider at the top than the side panel, and that's exactly what we want. So we're going to line this up. Just the bottom. We're not worried about the other sections yet. And we're going to go ahead and just baste across that bottom part. So just the bottom for now. Okay, so what we got, now what we're going to do, and this is going to make it so our pocket billows for bottles or what have you. We want to take this raw edge and we want to line it up with this raw edge. So you're going to kind of pull it over like so, and then clip it in place, lining up that raw edge. Okay, you can go ahead and baste that, but I'm going to do these at the same time. So now you're going to just kind of take this and it's going to billow. See, that's what we want. Match up the other side's raw edge and it's going to make a billowing pocket, which is what we need in order to be able to fit stuff in there on those sides. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and baste those in place, making sure we still get that billow there. Go. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we are going to attach these two foam. So for your two side pieces and your bottom piece, you're going to do it exactly how I am doing it now. So you're going to take those three pieces, your two sides and your bottom. You have your foam. You're going to put them wrong sides together. And you're going to use your pattern or your side piece as your template for your foam. So just cut it all the way around and clip it. Again, your two sides and your bottom pieces. You'll do the same after you've put your purse feet on the bottom if you're doing that. Okay. And the pattern does call for Decovil Lite, so I just prefer it with foam. It's just so nice with foam. But you can do you. Decovil Lite, I hope you followed, as I said in the cutting video, that you followed the instructions as per the pattern for the interfacing. Okay. And down the other side. This is the Pretty Pink So Foam from Galaxy Customs that I'm using. I love this stuff. And it's such a bonus that it's pink because we love pink. Okay, so once I get up here, I'm not going to baste this on with you. You guys can do that for homework, but I am going to show you, we are only going to baste from certain sections to certain sections. Okay. So before you go ahead and baste this, what you want to do is from all four corners, you want to make a 1-inch box. Okay. On the back of the foam. This helps reduce bulk in the seams. And trust me, especially at this top part, we definitely want to do that for when we do the zipper, because you don't want it to be too thick, especially if you're on a domestic. So what you're going to do is you are going to baste this in between those boxes. So you're going to baste from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here for all four sides. And then you're going to go in and you're just going to cut, and you could do this before you baste if you want to as well. Me as well. I'm just going to cut those four corners out. So you want to keep an inch of foam out of the corners. So you're not going to go and baste through here. You're just going to baste the straight edges. Okay, so again, you'll do that for the other side panel and the bottom panel through all 4 corners. Okay. Now for our main panels, let me show you what we're going to do. Same kind of idea. Do I have enough here? Are you going to be wide enough? Not quite. Okay. So again, you're going to lay your piece down like so. Dexter's making a bed if you can hear him. Make sure it's laying nice and flat, and you're going to use this as your template for cutting your foam. Same idea. He's making a bed very loudly. Holy moly. You'll do the same with the back panel that we're going to do with this one. Just laying nice and flat. Let me change my rotary blade. Oh, there's some serging thread from a dress I just made. I really need to clean my studio, I tell you. And this isn't in the pattern. This is just my preference for this bag. It's awesome. It truly is. Just gives it such great structure. It makes it feel really substantial. And you actually want the structure, especially if you're using this as a work bag or whatever. I think it just really makes it better. But I am a foam girl. We all know this. Okay, so just like we did with the bottom and the 2 sides, we want to make those 1-inch marks out of the corners. And we will be cutting the foam out of those corners. So you can definitely do that as well for homework. But we are going to do just one small thing different with the front and back panels. So first I'm going to mark all that. Let go. So you can cut out those corners. But when you baste, you are not going to baste the top. You're going to leave the top unbasted in between those 1-inch marks for next class. But you are going to baste from box to box down the side, the bottom, and up the other side. You can definitely go ahead and cut out the corners, but do not baste the top on both the back and the front when you go to do that. And that'll be homework. So what did we have? We have finish up your connectors, do your back panel, put on purse feet if you're going to put on purse feet, do your other side panel, and back it with foam. Sounds like a lot, but I promise you it won't take you very long at all. And then next class, we will come back and we will be putting in our strap strips, the rest of the connectors, and actually maybe even getting the exterior all done. Oh, another thing to do with your foam, and you could just do the whole piece with the foam. You can use foam, you can use fleece, you can use whatever you like, is for your laptop sleeve. If you're doing a laptop sleeve, with your exterior piece, as you can see, I ended up doing it in waterproof canvas because I ran out of lining. Your exterior of your laptop sleeve, baste it to foam as well, just the exterior. Okay, so yeah, and that is it for homework. So pretty much interfacing again. Thank you everybody for joining me. Make sure you put down in the comments that you were here so I can mark you off. Message me if you have any questions, and I will see you guys next week.